shuffled. Always ending in World 8. Always going to defeat Bowser. Warp whistles have been removed. So no searching for a whistle and warping to the end of the game. Levels within each world are shuffled. Enemies within each stage are shuffled. And a few other things. But players are getting started. Starting out World 7. And both players are going to check this first pipe. Overworld pipes are shuffled as well. Not quite where you want to be. So Pooh Bear's going to go back and play that first stage. Since overworld pipes are shuffled, World 7 could be enough. Just because the number of pipes, ooh, that chain chomp out of nowhere grabs both of them. Not expecting that. Enemies are shuffled, so not really what you'd expect in the beginning of the stage. Chuck able to get past that first chain chomp, but Pooh Bear unable to avoid it right now. See if he tries again. Let's go back the other way instead. Yeah, gonna try the other way instead. And so here we see our first case of the route reversion. See, we're both players looking for the far right end of World 7, leading towards the airship and the castle. Chuck getting through that first stage, see what this pipe leads to, while Pooh Bear is making his way through the what's called a lost level, beta level. It's games that are in it's stages that are in the game's code but not accessible by normal means, but have been re-added to the Randomizer. So Pooh makes quick work of that stage. Meanwhile, Chuck makes his way through that first pipe into the next stage. We'll see what it leads to. Pooh Bear is going to check the pipe. Where's the lead? Find a lock. Not exactly where you want to be. If he had a hammer, he could break that lock with a hammer. No items yet. Let's move on to the next stage. WhenChukAttacks is moving to a fortress. Fortress levels have been shuffled, and among those levels are the military stages from World 8. Those include the Air Force, one of the tank stages, and the Navy. So that's why you'll see these in the mix as well, early in fortress stages. You got a crazy looking sprite on Pooh Bear's side. Don't really see this stage very often. Most players clip right through, but with no power up, gotta play it the old fashioned way. That looks like a boss bass though. It's not a boss bass, but I mean it is a boss bass, but it looks like some monstrosity of just unable to avoid that enemy there. Just one of the sprites getting confused. It is a boss bass. You gotta watch out for it this time. Meanwhile, Chuck is making his way through a plant stage. These power-ups are shuffled. Grabbing a hammer is really nice. He'll be able to use that hammer to break a lock. So one addition to the randomizer is that while locks break rocks like normal, normally access secret areas or shortcuts, they also break fortress locks. Normally it's complete a fortress. That'll allow you to skip a few stages when possible. So Chuck making his way through that fortress and the plant, and on to the next area. This is exactly where you want to be, over by World 7, or stages 7 and 8, leading to the exit. Meanwhile, Pooh Bear gets grabbed by that boss bass again. Gonna go for some lives with 0 lives here. Chuck doing the same, grabbing that triple star card at the end. You will see players early on go for extra lives. Stop and play the end card game. The end card game items are shuffled, the power-ups are shuffled, or the rewards are shuffled, as well as the layout. Changes each time you play it, so you can't memorize it. Players have been encouraged to take notes just to keep things fair and even on that regard. Chuck making his way through another stage, and GrandPOOBear is still trying to get through this one. Like I said, most players he's probably not really familiar with playing this stage really, just because I used to clipping through it or skipping over it. I see Chuck playing that in-card game, making a match. So even though he matched mushrooms, not necessarily the reward he in his inventory isn't necessarily mushroom. We'll have to wait and see what he has when he checks his inventory. See him pause there for a minute, probably taking notes. He picked up a P-Wing for that match. Alright. Pooh able to make it through. Unless there's some enemy at the end here I'm missing. He's gonna grab the star, refill on lives. Never want to see that stage. Chuck making his way through the World 8 fortress. Able to make the door before P-Switch runs out. Fighting Boom Boom. Boom Boom still has 3 hits. Standard 3 hits. Unfortunately, GrandPOOBear all that, and he's got to go back to that first stage. Chuck making his way to the second plant area, or the second plant stage. But watch out for that boss bass. Already out for blood. This seed. POOBear does have that leaf tail, is able to float. Almost gets hit by that chainless chomp again. Able to make it through. Chuck entering the first airship. Autoscrollers have been disabled for the most part. That includes most stages and airships. There's a couple stages that haven't, or still remain autoscroller just because it would break the stage otherwise. And I'll point those out if we come across them. Like I mentioned before, Koopa Kids have random hit points, from 1 to 5 hits. And between the fireball hits and the jumps, that was either a 3 or 4 hit for Ludwig. And Chuck has a fairly decent lead here going into World 2. Couple tough stages, and then went the wrong way. Wouldn't know otherwise. POOBear is on the right track now and looking to catch up. Next up we have World 5. This is a world in which using a hammer to skip a few stages will be beneficial. Once Chuck reaches the sky section of the overworld, he'll be able to use a hammer to skip 3 stages. See if he uses that when he gets there. Meanwhile, POOBear is finishing up this fortress. Chuck able to jump off that Lakitu. Just jump over part of the stage. Probably do the same here, just a little bit. Not only does it, the Lakitu is defeated, don't have to worry about those spinies, but get you some extra distance outside the water. See POOBear moving on to the in-card game. No matches there. Moved on to the next pipe. Chuck finishing up that stage and moving on to the next pipe as well in World 5, which is World 2. If you take a look at the... Whoa, double boss bass. Did not see that. POOBear able to take the one down. He's got another one to deal with. The second one respawns. He's gotta watch out. He's already had enough trouble with boss bass. Just gotta stay out of the water. Alright, able to get past it. Picking up another 5 lives. I was saying something and then boss bass just startled me. I'll remember after this is over. And WhenChukAttacks back at the in-card game looking for matches. POOBear is still looking for that the pipe leading to the exit in World 7. Right, I was talking about worlds. You take a look at the in-game overlay, in-game UI. You see above Mario's lives, the world number. The world number now corresponds to the world that they're in for the randomizer. So, Pooh's in World 1, Chuck's in World 2. That now corresponds to which world they're actually in compared to what world they're normally in vanilla. If that makes sense. That was recently added for the bracket phase, so that's a really cool addition by the developer of the randomizer, F. Coughlin, also known as Fred. Chuck is moving in his way through the tower in World 5, one of the few stages that is not random. And the reason for this is because the stage doesn't end with a gold card, which Pooh just picked up, a boom boom fight. Instead it ends with a pipe. Enter the pipe and you enter the upper part of the overworld and on to the next area. So this stage, the tower in World 5 and then a couple others aren't shuffled, and I'll point those out. Mainly just Bowser's Castle. That's the only other one now available is Bowser's Castle. At the very end of the game. So Chuck has 2 hammers. He uses one here. He's gonna skip 3 stages in the upper part of World 5. Takes out that Hammer Brother and grabs a frog suit. Hammer Brother's arenas and power-ups are shuffled. Moving on to the next fortress as POOBear is finishing up a fortress of his own in World War. Chuck takes out Boom Boom. 3 hits. Finishing up that fortress, and POOBear is going to pick up a P-Wing and the swag clip. Pooh did find the way through the pipes. 7. Play the in-card game just one more time before entering Castle Nature. Make his way to Chuck's. Avoid that blooper. It's random enemies. With enemies being shuffled within each stage, water enemies can be bloopers all over the place. Their sporadic movement can be quite to avoid. Chuck using a frog suit wisely, not knowing what stage that is, but the large portion of water in this stage can be able to make his way through it pretty quickly here. He can hold on to that frog suit. Meanwhile, POOBear finishing up the World 1 airship. About 3 or 4 stages behind now. Chuck takes a hit, but got through the water section. Gotta watch out. Watch out for that cheap last enemy. Able to make it through though. One last enemy. Chuck gets by it onto the next airship. Who's starting up World 2? See if he can make up some time here. He's got quite the challenge ahead of him now. Chuck is entering the second airship. Grabbing that star on Chuck's side, and even if you could take it to the Koopa Kid arena, a star will not defeat a Koopa Kid in one hit, but it will prevent you from taking so many hits. Got Roy here. More than your standard 3. Let's see, that's 4. Full 5 here for Roy. So Chuck finishing up World 2, the Sky World. GrandPOOBear finishing up the second stage here, same world. Along with everything else being shuffled, the King's text is random, and Princess Toadstool's text is random as well as the reward you get from Toadstool. So that if you're expecting some P-Wing or whatever. Instead, you get a music box. It's one variation randomizer. See Chuck moving into World 1, using that hammer to skip a few stages. Another instance where using that hammer to skip 3 stages is save you some time. Gotta watch out for the angry sun here. Able to get by it. No problem. GrandPOOBear is fighting these Hammer Brothers 2. Chuck is gonna take a moment to play the in-card game again. Looking for additional matches, see if anything. Players are normally playing these games looking for any reward, any power-up's gonna help to some extent. But mostly hammers, which allow you to break fortress locks and skip stages, and clouds, which allow you just to skip stages like normal. Chuck able to complete that entire board, so he's got some items in his inventory now. Not that he didn't have any before, he just has more now. Poog making his way through the tower in World 5. Watch out for those swamps. Chuck continuing his way through World 3. Normally this stage has the Kribo shoe or the sock or boot, whatever you want to call it, with enemies shuffled. Not always going to be here. It is this time though, so that's pretty cool. Chuck deciding not to go for that shoe. It does allow you to take an extra hit, but it doesn't really save it. Chuck is just a Hammer Brother away from the airship. Here in World 3, meanwhile, POOBear is making his way through the World 2. Angry Sun. All these Koopas. Does not grab the 3rd star, avoiding the extra 3rd the 5-up fanfare. With auto-scroll is disabled for airships, makes these really quick. Only 2 hits there, I think that was Lemmy. 2-hit Lemmy. Short and sweet. Chuck is on his World 4 now. POOBear looking for matches in card game. We'll see what's in store next for the next world. POOBear makes it through the tower. Uses the hammer, skipping 3 stages in the upper world. 5. Taking out the Hammer Brother and grabbing a frog suit. And into the next fortress. So on to World 2. Sand World. Desert World. Chuck does have 2 opportunities to use hammers. He used one at the beginning there, skipping the first few stages, and then if you add another one, he can skip even more, but he's already exhausted all of his hammers, so he's got to play through a few stages now. Chuck finishing up that first stage. Pooh onto the second to last stage here in World 5. Even though Pooh is a world and a half behind, it's not as bad as you think, because he still has hammers he can use in World 1 or World 3. So he'll pretty much be able to follow the same path as Chuck here. Just yeah, unfortunately Pooh had a routing mishap at the beginning of this match, which is why Chuck is a bit ahead right now. You guys got a question? I am reading you guys. What's your question? Chuck is trying to clip through this door here, this wall here, jumping above the door at the right pixel, right time, can just clip right through the wall and make your way, skip part of the stage. It's a bit tougher with a tail, but you can still go for it quite a few times before it wastes time. Meanwhile, got GrandPOOBear making his way through the second world airship. The way was what, 3 hits? 5 hits? I think it was 5. Yeah. Chuck takes a long way through the stage, unable to clip at the beginning, but nothing wrong with that. Pooh is behind because he took a different route in World 1, and it didn't pan out. So and then he had to backtrack, and that route led to a dead end, which caused him to have to backtrack and go back the way that Alright, I'm gonna reconnect, see if that's better. Let me know if that's better. And if it's not, I apologize. Alright. Where are we? Chuck into the 4th airship here, World 2. Enemy computed properties are shuffled, so you see more in there with Earthquake, Sun ability. Only 2 hits though, so not too bad. It is better now? Alright, sorry guys, I completely missed that. I apologize. So we got Chuck moving into World 5. Pooh does not have a hammer, so he's going to go back and play these stages. Must have, I think Chuck picked those up in the in-car game after matching. Chuck does not have a hammer, so he's going to play World 4 the normal way. Alright, Chuck's entering a stage, or is in a stage where heading right is not going to lead you to one of the few stages where a pipe leads you to the exit. Normally there are a couple nippers up here, carry a shell up. Luckily, Chuck carried up anyway. Got hit a couple times, but able to make it through, past those Goombas, and through the pipe into the exit. And meanwhile, we see GrandPOOBear making his way similar stage where you need a tail and the ability to fly to find the exit here in the fortress. Nice how that worked out. POOBear able to take down Boom Boom. See Chuck avoiding this angry sun. Getting through 8. So GrandPOOBear is behind due to a routing mishap on World 1. Chuck went one way, POOBear went the other way. Chuck ended up being right. POOBear ended up at a dead end, so he had to backtrack, which eventually led him to the end of the first world, which was World 7, Pipe Maze. And he's been trying to play catch up ever since. And Chuck has just been strolling along. Not much has been stopping him. POOBear, you see, use the cloud to skip a stage and the music box to make the Hammer Brother go to sleep, pick up an item there, and on to the next airship. Meanwhile, Chuck making his way through the next fortress. That's a good point too. Chuck did pick up, I believe, 2 extra hammers through the match card game, the end card game, that POOBear has not. So that's played a big difference. That's played a difference as well, because Chuck was able to skip some stages here in World 1 that POOBear is in, and Pooh had to play those 3 stages. Ooh, Chuck grabbed that leaf, was gonna fly up and skip part of this maze, but that tiny Cheep Cheep, or not tiny, but that Cheep Cheep had other plans in mind. Now, stage that Chuck is in, you can clip through some lower barriers, but with a Cheep Cheep in the way, it's probably just best to avoid that and go through it normally. POOBear able to finish up the airship onto the next world. Doesn't have a hammer, so he's going to have to play a few extra stages. So we see him moving into one of the lost levels. There are eight of these stages that are in the game's code, but cannot be accessed by normal means, and have been re-added in the randomizer. We've seen a few of them so far. Chuck finishing up that Hammer Brother. See if he goes for the next one. He's gonna have to. No choice there. Couple more Boomerang Bros. Meanwhile, POOBear is making his way through World 2, which is the 3rd world here in the seed. Chuck equipping a P-Wing is gonna fly over this water stage. Pooh able to make some matches in this card game. See, we'll see what he picks up. He's got a hammer there now. Chuck making his way through the next fortress here in World 4. Pooh's in a fortress of his own. A couple worlds back. Chuck's gotta watch out when he falls from that door. Enemies and stages are shuffled, right? Which can lead to some interesting combinations, especially if you don't know what you're not expecting it, right? Because it's different each time. Chuck finishing up that fortress, taking out Boom Boom. POOBear using the hammer he just picked up to skip a few stages into the pyramid tile. This is another lost level, hidden stage, or beta level, or unused stage, whatever you want to call them. They're all the same thing. Gotta avoid this boss bass who's guarding. Ooh, just unable to avoid that. There's 2 sections to that stage. The upper section with a series of pipes leading to the lower area, and the lower area there's a pipe on the very far right side. I'll get you to see the exit. Meanwhile, Chuck taking out Iggy, moving on to the world. Yeah, Boss Bass has been quite a pain to see so far. We've seen quite a few of them, including the legendary Double Boss Bass. Earlier stage. So Chuck finishing up 5 going into World 6. It's vanilla location. Gotta check this first pipe. Overall pipes are shuffled. There are 3 places where this could lead to. That's not the best option. Ideally, you get a pipe that leads you just past the lock, first fortress lock. Allows you to skip a few stages. Got POOBear fighting Morton. Just 2 hits, not too bad. Chuck's gonna make his way through the World 6 here. Now I've noticed these cheeps that Chuck is bouncing off of are in their vanilla location. That's pretty common based on the seeds I've seen so far, both playing and throughout this tournament. I wonder if that's intended or not. Chuck picking up a music box from the Hammer Brothers onto the next stage. Who's gonna make his way through World 4, which is the 5th world. Oh no. Chuck died on the previous stage. Chuck tests his luck on the other option, but you don't want that one either. There's the instance of an auto-scroller. Both a hidden level, secret level, unused state, and an auto-scroller that's really long, so gonna use a cloud and bypass both of them. Gotta be careful though not to die in this fortress, because he'll have to, if you respawn, he'll be put back before each of those stages and have to choose one to pick it, or choose one to play it, I should say. Chuck, no problem though. Taking on Boom Boom. Make his way onto the next section of World 6 here. While there is an option to shuffle music, it doesn't seem like that's been enabled for this seed. Just based on what we've heard so far, so maybe next time we'll get some shuffle music. Meanwhile, POOBear is how to avoid this boss bass out in full force this seed. So Chuck's entering the pyramid stage. And while enemies are shuffled, there's a few enemies that are not, that are always stand in a location. Including that Buzzy Beetle right there. That Buzzy Beetle and a few others are in that location normally and have to remain there in order for the player to progress. It's like Chuck's gonna go the other route, the other stage instead. Gotta watch out for those fire snakes. Able to take one out with that block, and narrowly avoiding that last one onto the next stage. Chuck able to use a screen scroll to his advantage, avoiding that Hammer Brother there. If you're holding a direction that will lead you through the world, I think POOBear is stuck here, right? Out. Yeah, if you're holding a direction when moving, when the screen scrolls, you're able to avoid encountering the Hammer Brothers that way. Yeah. Who's trying to clip to this wall. If you can get through it, it is a bit quicker, but you do run the risk of getting hit, soft locking yourself and having to die. Or luckily, he had an enemy to die too. Otherwise, you had to wait for the time to run out, which will put him a little further behind. Looks like he's gonna take the standard way through the stage while Chuck is waiting for this Koopa to break these blocks and lead him to the lead him through this pipe here. Chuck making his way through the last section in World 6. See this tank stage. Normally this is the first stage you encounter in World 8. And since it doesn't end with a boom boom, it's been shoveled among the standard stages, non-fortress stages, not an airship. Reward with a hammer. Ooh, POOBear couldn't avoid those boomerang bros. Try to fight him again. I think he was locked into position. The hammer brother wouldn't move. Meanwhile, we got Chuck into the next airship. The first world airship here. See how many hits. It's more than 3. Chuck's got him stun locked. Able to get that last hit in. 5 hits. Chuck will be moving on to the next world. Meanwhile, we got POOBear. Try to avoid those electrified jellies, whatever. Bloopers. I think that's the technical term, electrified jelly, right? You spoony bard. Thanks, King. Just saved you. Yeah, Chuck has quite a sizable lead. Moving on here in the last world, World 3. I'm gonna check this first pipe. It was a result of an early routing difference. Chuck found the right way through World 7, which was the first world. Who got there? It took a little bit longer to get there, and then Chuck has had a couple hammers to his advantage by playing the Aiden card game. It's allowed him to skip some stages in a few worlds, which has allowed him to take a lead. Pooh's had some bad luck as well with some enemies, particularly Boss Bass. So Chuck that first pipe, led him over here on this right side, or the middle section of World 3, and trying to get a clip there. Chuck couldn't quite get it, play the stage normally. Chuck is taking quite a bit of a gamble here. I think he has a hammer though. He does have a hammer. So, this pipe, the overall location where he's at, it's going to lead him to another fortress and another pipe. That pipe will either lead him to the airship, which is what he wants, or it could lead him to the first area of World 3. And it could lead him to that pipe behind the lock there on the left, if he caught that. And luckily he does have a hammer, so he's not going to be playing these stages for no reason. He'll probably use that hammer if it comes to that, but see if this route pans out after this stage. Meanwhile, POOBear finishing up that airship and on to the next world. Yeah, we'll see where this pipe leads to for Chuck. And meanwhile, POOBear is making his way into World 6. One of the longest worlds. Yep, there he is behind that pipe. Luckily, he's got a hammer. Break the hammer lock with a hammer and on to the next stage. This will be the last airship before heading to World 8. World 8 is always last, but it can also lead to some some not really problems, but just routing World 8 can be interesting in that since overworld pipes are shuffled anywhere, first he's got to take out Windy, and we got Earthquake Windy. It's more than 3 hits. Got the 4. Chuck able to time that very nicely. Normally Windy throws out additional lifesaver, the rings, each time you hit her after jumping on her. Chuck able to get those hits in before she got that attack off, only having to avoid one ring there. Nicely done there. Pooh is gonna check this pipe. Normally there's a Hammer Brother suit, but since those power-ups are shuffled now, no Hammer Brother suit this time. Wrong way. Alright, Chuck is in the World 8. Play this first stage. He's gotta avoid the Angry Sun, which is now some crazy looking monstrosity. And then Chuck's gonna check this first pipe. You either want this first pipe to lead you directly to Bowser, the last section of World 8, or the Dark World. Or not Dark World, but Dark Area. See where. Not quite there. No hammer, unable to break that lock. Does he have a hammer? Check. He does have a hammer. Check this. Break that lock and pipe. And here's an opportunity to play a stage and then check 3 pipes. The more opportunities you have to check pipes, the more likely you're going to find that pipe that leads you exactly where you want to be, the last section of World 8. So we got the Navy in World 8, just not in the right location. It happens. It's Randomizer. Chuck quickly takes out that Boom Boom. Let's see which. He's got 3 choices now for pipes. He's gonna check each of them, see where they lead, unless he just finds the right exit and be on his way. So that led him to the other side, and this led him to another pipe in the same area. Now he's got a choice. He's gonna go with the hands, only one hand, but it's auto scroller, and let's see where he goes to now. Yeah, unfortunately, I think I just caught him off guard. So he's gonna try his luck across the hand bridge. A couple options there. He's got plenty of life, so he could take deaths, try to avoid them. He's got to try to avoid all 3, which he's lucky to get past 2 the first. He's got to avoid the 3rd one. But it looks like he's going to just play through them. He's caught by the 2nd one as well. We don't know if that's the right way yet. Won't know until he gets past the Air Force tile. Luckily, the first 2 stages are pretty short. Maybe he'll get lucky and avoid the 3rd one. Or he could take intentional deaths and try to avoid it that way as well. Meanwhile, Pooh Bear making his way through the pyramid. Chuck able to get past that 3rd stage, or the 3rd hand stage, onto the super tank. So yeah, if he played that out, it probably still be in the auto scroller. Using the Fire Flower to take down Boom Boom really quickly. Meanwhile, Pooh Bear make his way through one of those hand stages. That does grant you a random power-up, which this time is a hammer. Unfortunately, the risk did not pay off there for Chuck, leading him back to the beginning of World 8 behind the lock just past the Navy. So he's gonna have to go past his hand bridge again. hopefully avoid this stage, and he does. So with that knowledge, he's going to have to go through stages 1 and 2 backwards to get to Bowser. No clouds, unable to avoid him that way, so he's going to play him out. But yeah, gamble did not pay off for Hambridge. Quite an array of enemies here on Chuck's screen. Painless chomps. All kinds of crazy stuff, right? Both players finishing up stage here. Chuck moving on to the last stage in World 8. And Pooh Bear, the last section of World 6. Something you don't normally see is a Karibo shoe just hanging out in the clouds. Chuck does avoid picking up that triple star, avoiding the 5-up pair. Chuck on to the last section, World 8. One fortress remaining before Bowser's Castle. Yeah, unfortunately for Pooh Bear, just early routing and some didn't have the hammers for skip a few stages, and then some untimely deaths with Boss Bass. Unable to catch up after that. Chuck picking up the star is going to take out Boom Boom really quickly here. That is one of the nice things about shuffle power-ups within stages. You can find items or find these power-ups where they aren't normally at, allowing for some quick kills on Boom Boom, even though that stage does have a quick kill normally. Chuck into Bowser's Castle. Gets the clip. Gotta avoid this enemy. Could have been anything. As Dry Bones this time. Avoiding these Go Waffles. Gets the easy clip. Move on to this final stretch. Gotta avoid these fireballs. Gonna use the Hammer Brother suit for a quick kill here. That's gonna do it. WhenChukAttacks is going to take the victory here over GrandPOOBear. Finished up with 47 minutes and 54 seconds. As Pooh Bear is moving into World 7, it's going to take the same route as Chuck. We'll see if we get Chuck in for an interview. Yeah, this was this matchup between two great SMB3 players. Both speedrun the game, multiple categories. So it was turned to be a good race just based on that. Just unfortunate. Pooh Bear fell behind early and wasn't able to make up time. Chuck is going to come in for an interview, get his thoughts on the race. Meanwhile, Pooh Bear is making his way, grabbing the Starman. Only needs only needs 2 stars. Hopefully, yeah, right. Welcome, Chuck.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great race.
That was really something.
What was your thoughts going into the race?
What was that?
So, what was your thoughts going into the race? Coming up, two great SMB3 players.
Well, I just wanted to don't die,
Sure.
and just I don't know, just make good decisions. I made a lot of good lucky decisions as far as like using items before certain levels.
Right.
Used that frog suit right
that was
before 6-6. That was
that was
really
a-
lucky.
That was really good. Really good use of that one.
And use a P-wing on 3-5, which is really helpful. And hammers everywhere.
Yeah,